Well, hello. I thought I would finish up the two videos that I needed to do about um, the hostels where I have stayed. And I hope everybody's doing okay. I'm doing well, enjoying my day back here. So, yeah, I want to thank everybody for continuing to watch. And if you're new, welcome. I have a lot of playlists. I have a lot of travel that I've done. Look at the pictures. Go to Facebook, Backpack Journeys blog. They have a lot of pictures because I started out taking pictures of my travels. But I want to finish up the two. This is one of the last two hostels where I have stayed. And I do realize I've gotten some comments. I do realize that a lot of you don't like hostels. You will never stay in a hostel. That's understood. A lot of people do. So I've gotten comments about that. Well, I would never stay in a hostel. Okay, great. It's not for you. That's fine. Probably something else on this channel will be for you, but there are a lot of people who do stay in hostels and do watch these videos, and I have a playlist about that. So here we go. This is the HI. I only have stayed in HI hostels, Hostel International. I think they're nice. There are a lot of hostels I wouldn't stay, and I did a lot of research before I stayed in my first hostel, and this is where I decided to sign up. This is the one in Washington, D.C. It is my very first hostel experience, and that was a riot, I'll tell you. I did survive it. A lot of funny things. I do have in the playlist, I have a hostel playlist. So I do have in that playlist, I think my first video I ever did was in this hostel. It was me in the bed getting up. It's of the room and me getting in the bed and trying to stay in the bed. So yeah, another thing I want to say before I continue is that I do realize also that prices have gone up. When I mention a price in some of the videos, I'm going to try to not mention prices. I like to mention the prices when I was there to give you an idea how inexpensive it is and how you can travel inexpensively. And yes, I know this channel's been here for 4 years. So yes, I know in 4 years prices have gone up. I got a comment, for example, I got a comment on the one in New York. That was my favorite hostel. And I stayed there Thanksgiving weekend, 2019. That was before the pandemic. And I stayed like for $65 a night. I just looked that up. Somebody commented, well, that's price is too low. The prices have gone up. Well, whatever. Of course they have. I just looked it up. That same room is $81. So it's gone up, but not that much. You try to go to Manhattan and stay in the hotel for $81. That was as nice as the one I have. Plus they have private rooms. Private rooms I looked. This was New York. I think they're all about the same on the East Coast. The West Coast, they're a lot cheaper, I found, than the East Coast, and I don't know why exactly, but I think you can get one. They're like a couple of $100 a night. The one in New York, that's still a deal for New York City. About 5 years ago, I paid $600 a night Thanksgiving in Manhattan in a hotel. So yeah, that's still a deal. But let's get back to DC. If you're riding the train, I rode the train. So it's not near the train station. I walked. You can take Uber, you can take cabs, the bus line, which I never figured out. Mass transit and everything else. I'd rather walk and just, I know where I'm going walking because I'm more of a walker, but trying to, I'm only going to be in a place for a few hours and trying to learn their mass transit system is not something personally I feel comfortable doing. And I mean comfortable as in being able to figure out where I am. But it's a straight line from the train station to the hostel, is a straight line. And the street, can't remember the exact street, but I want to say I walked 16 blocks, but I don't think it's 16 blocks, but it's a ways. If I had to do it again, I'd take the bus. I'd take the bus. Bus goes right by there. But you can get there. It's harder to walk to it if you are a walker. It's not that close to the train station if you're taking the train. Or it's not going to be that close to the airport either. So it's near the White House. It's walkable to the White House, and other tourist things to see in that general area. The train station's near the Supreme Court building and the Capitol. That is walking distance, and I frequently do that. I have a layover, I'll walk there. So I thought it wasn't going to be that far. The blocks in DC seem to be bigger than the ones here in North Carolina where I am. So it was a fur piece, as they say. But I made it. Now the hostel itself. And you'll have to check on the price. Again, I stayed in a 4-bed women's dorm, which means there were 2 bunk beds there. I didn't know enough to know that I needed a bottom bunk. I will say, if you're not that agile for climbing, and even if you are medium agile for climbing, you may want to seriously consider requesting a lower bunk. And you can in any of these hostels request ahead of time. You need to call, and not doing it if you're booking through them, or I noticed at booking.com, you can book through booking.com, and probably all the places you can Travelocity out. You probably can book through all of them. Don't do any special requests through them. Call the hostel itself and request. The reason I say that, these were the tallest and oldest bunk beds I've ever seen. I could get up it. It was and I thought I was near the ceiling, and they had tall ceilings. I do want you to see that video. At the end of this video, there will be a link to the playlist for the hostel. So I do want you to see my experience of, I thought I was in the nosebleed section. But it was clean. It was okay clean. It was full. I was in there with 3 other young women. Fortunately, they were young enough that they stayed out almost all night. So they didn't come into the middle of the night, morning, I guess after the bars closed. I don't know if I think there's something going on in DC all night long, but they came in saying, I don't know. I didn't have my clock or watch with me. I didn't even have my phone. I didn't know enough then to put my phone in my bed, that there was an outlet up there. There are outlets next to each bed, which is good. So I had my phone charging down below, and I had to ask one of the girls to give me my phone. She didn't know English. So it's a more international, it's probably the most international place I've been to that didn't seem to know a lot of English, or pretended they didn't. New York was international, but this seemed to be more international, if that makes sense. More business-like, more international, less friendly. It was the least friendly of all the ones that I went to. So if you're into, I mean, I'm Southern, we say hey to everybody. Wasn't that kind of place. But it was clean. And it was, I can't remember what I paid for it. It was less than $65 in New York was the most I paid. So it was less than that. So that's a positive, that it's convenient. It's a positive. For the breakfast, usually in hostels, you'll get a continental breakfast. Yeah, you'll get a continental breakfast at best. You'll get your juice, and you'll get your maybe juice. Not every places have juice. You get coffee. You can bring your own. And fortunately that I found in the big cities, usually near the hostels, you will get, there's a 7-Eleven or a convenience store close by. So I just go and buy what I've learned to go buy what I want and make sure I have it. Like if I want orange juice for breakfast, I'll go and get it. So I'll be sure that I have it. But this place had a chef cooking breakfast. I have never seen such a breakfast. I'm a breakfast eater. I'm a breakfast person. I could eat breakfast 3 times a day. They had Belgian waffles. They had eggs cooked any way you wanted to. They had cereal that you can imagine. They had cold cereal, hot cereal, tea, hot tea, coffee, juices, pancakes, muffins. They had your meats. I don't eat the sausages and the bacons and whatnot, but I think they had some of that. They had fruit, oatmeal. That I have never seen so much food, and they had it all. So so that part was great. It was crowded. So that was it was like being in a crowded, it was like being in a crowded cafe, morning cafe, and everybody was in and out and everybody was in a hurry. This was the kind of place everybody was in a hurry. And a lot of young people, some that were middle-aged. I think I was the oldest one I saw, but mostly seemed to be like students or young professionals, and they were always in a hurry. It was a very fast-paced place. So that part, I will say, that's the only thing I liked about it. I will not stay there again. It's up to you. It just, to me, I won't. And the reason being, couple things, and some of it had to do with the place and some of it didn't have to do with the place. One thing, as I said, the hustle and bustle of it, I felt in a rush. When I was in line to check out, I actually got pushed to the side by this young guy, looked to be about 20. He's like, I'm missing the bus, I'm missing the bus. And he just literally pushed me out of the way to check out, which that's Gen Z and rude. And the whole place had that kind of vibe to it. In the breakfast thing, a guy got into an argument with another guy. A younger guy did. It was an older guy, and say he's maybe in his 50s, and he was making kind of off-cuff remarks when people sat down. He was trying to be funny. He was trying to be relaxed. He was trying to meet people. It wasn't working well. I just ignored him. But the young guy across the table from him, and everybody else was just ignoring him or moving away. And he was just saying things like, brought into that he was a misogynist. I don't know where he got all that, because he wasn't really talking about women specifically. And then they got into an argument. And here I am like, where in the world am I? So I ate and I left. So checking out, I got knocked over. I also, so that had nothing to do with the hostel itself, but that's just the type of vibe that's there. The thing that did have to do with the hostel was that as I was going out the front door, I just happened to turn around, and on the bottom level, there's like a lounge area, and I saw a rat run across the floor. It was a rat. It was like a subway rat. It was like a small dog. It was a rat. And so I went to the desk to tell the guy working there that there's a rat in the building. I didn't know if they knew, go do something about it. I didn't think that would fit the health department or whatever. I don't know. And he was like, well, yeah, like that. And I told him 3 times. I thought, well, maybe he didn't hear me. Then I told him again. And the 3rd time, I was more adamant about it. And he said, okay, I'll write it down. So yes, I don't know if the rat came in when somebody opened the door or whether they have rats. But the people at the desk that day I was there didn't seem to care. It took 3 times for they would write it down. Nobody got up to do anything. So that was my experience with the DC HI hostel. And if you're part of that group and happen to see it and you want to say, you know, I'd like to hear your comments of how it is. Maybe it was just, I was there in May of I don't know when it was before. I travel usually in May, but it was in May. I don't know what was going on that would have caused that type of tension. I mean, it just had that vibe to it. The city itself did not. I like DC. It's one of my favorite cities, and the Union Station there for Amtrak is my favorite station. And I want to go back one day. I'm going to go stay in a hotel this time. But that hostel had some kind of vibe going on about it. It was not a very pleasant experience, but I didn't pay much for it. So that's the way I looked at it, and I got through it. So I hope you liked it. And again, look at the video I have of the room in the hostel playlist that's going to show up here at the end of this video. So if you like this video, like, share, subscribe. Helps me out a whole lot, and you can comment. Please keep your comments civil. They will be deleted if not. They're getting to be a little bit less civil than in the past. You can disagree, but we can disagree in a civil manner. So until next time, I want everybody to have happy travels, happy rails, and stay safe.